right. Alexandra, I am excited to talk to you about Guns of Eden. I'm
Likewise.
actually on the special thanks credits because I helped donate to get the movie made with through the
Oh, thank you. That's awesome.
so I'm really excited. And I gotta say, you totally kicked butt in this movie and you did such an
Thank you.
amazing job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
So my first question is, how did you get involved in the production? Where did it all start?
So it was just, I mean, it was just an audition. But we had a kind of a mutual friend that I had met back when I was like way younger. I was working at like a film festival and I met this filmmaker. And he's like Ohio, LA based, mostly in LA, and he's from Ohio.
Mhm.
And he was like, he and I stayed in touch. And at the time, I was kind of just starting out. Um, but then like 3 years later, he's like, hey, you should audition for this. And it was for one of their films, Greg and Tamar. And it was actually a different one, I think. And then I reached out, never heard back, and I actually followed up with them randomly. And I was like, hey, would love to work with you guys sometime in the future. And they wrote back like immediately saying that they had this movie that they thought I'd be a great fit for. So then we started with the audition process, and here we are.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
for those who are haven't seen the film yet, um, can you give us a little description of your character of Megan?
Yeah, Megan she's a cop. She's kind of struggling with her identity and her motivation in life. She's struggling with some PTSD. She's also ex-military, comes from a police family, and on leave she ends up going on a camping trip with some friends, and they end up seeing some things that they shouldn't see, and then they're basically fighting for their lives for the rest of the movie.
That's awesome. And I love this type of genre. I mean, I was talking with another director a while back, not too long ago, and we were talking about how we need more female action heroes. Like, because we're not getting, we used to have them for a while, and then it just like disappeared. Now I feel,
Yeah,
now I feel like it's coming back slowly, but I think it needs to come back stronger.
right.
So, what'd you do in training for the film in terms of the action scenes? Because do you have like a background, or you just?
I didn't have like a martial arts background. I've always kind of been like, I'd go to the gym and stuff. But I started lifting weights and stuff more when I was like early 20s. So luckily for this one, I had already kind of built up some muscle for that, and that was kind of my natural state. But for this one specifically, I definitely added some weight for training, mixed in some boxing and some kickboxing. And yeah, that was basically it.
That's awesome. And I gotta say, your knife fight was one of the best I've seen in recent years.
Really?
Probably one of the best I've seen since Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I mean, very rare to see like a
That's so
pretty
awesome. That was
mystic
a
knife
really
fight,
fun scene.
especially in an American movie. I mean, of course, you go to Asia, that's they're all, that's too easy. But I'm talking about in terms of American films, this is probably one of the best ones I've seen since The Winter Soldier. And just the way you just like unleashed all hell on this guy. I mean, that was amazing. What was it like shooting that?
um, so it was actually that was a tiring scene for both of us. We came the day before. It was like our off day for shooting. And we came and we trained and we choreographed the whole thing. We did it for a few hours, so it kind of got into our bones. And then day of, I mean, we actually didn't shoot it that many times. It was pretty much like we were like in it and we're like, let's do this. And Tim, my scene partner in it, he was very supportive in like, matching the energy, and we were matching each other's energy the whole time. And he was, really easy to work with. um this movie was fun because like you got the chance to just not hold back at all. And that was one of those scenes where that wasn't really even an option to hold back, because you wouldn't do the scene justice that way, because this scene is like one of her breaking points when she's like kind of turning into this new version of herself that she's never explored before.
Yeah.
So that especially towards the end, it gets really, really, really heated. And it was, emotionally exhausting for both of us, and also physically exhausting for both of us. We were pretty sore from, at least I was. I'm not sure if he was, but I was pretty sore after it.
That's awesome. And so what was it like working with director Gregory? Because he had some awesome things to say about you in our interview last week. Him and
Yeah.
Chris. Um,
Um, I mean, I say this time and time again, like Greg's one of the easiest directors I've ever worked with. And he's not easy because he lets people like walk all over him, which is something that I see happen all the time, especially in the indie scene, with directors just being like, sure, whatever you want. No, he has a very, very specific vision. He's just not rude when he tells you. He's
Right.
concise, he's really chill, he's really understanding and empathetic. So he's like, are you good with this? Can we make this happen? Like, what do you need right now to make this happen? You know, especially for some of the more emotional scenes, he's like, what do you need right now? And I was like, you know, I need X, Y, and Z. He's like, perfect, let's do it. And he's like, let's just keep it going. Like, let's stay in it. You know, super, super veteran to work with. And that was such a pleasure to be able to have such a strong, like, you know, force of nature director to work with and say, like, hey, I want to go this far. And they're like, let's do it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's what I like about the indie circuit. As you mentioned, you know, you experienced where they said, "Do what you want," but there's other ones where it's a full collaboration.
Right.
Yeah, I get mostly the. You know, I talk to a lot of people who are mostly into the full collaborations with the directors, and
Right.
and it just seems, yeah, like Gregory said the same thing pretty much. You know, it was just one big collaborative effort. You know, he thanked like the whole crew and everything because it made it such a dynamic collaboration to make the
Yeah.
film work. And I think I have to agree with him. You all did a great job on this movie. And
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, people worked real hard on this one. Like crew and everything worked hard in like that summer heat too in the woods and like during COVID too. So everyone was kind of a trooper in this movie. And like yeah, it was cool because Greg is very much into collaboration, but like like I said, he has a very, very clear vision of what he wants it to look like. And he's willing to be inspired by new things, but like there are certain things also that he's like, no, this is how it has to look because he has the vision to see what it's going to look like.
right.
And it was so easy to have just full trust in everything.
And in one of your scenes, you got to work with a legend of the genre, Lynn Lowry. What was
Yeah.
that like with her? Because her role was so fun, even though it was like merely an extended cameo. It's like she still made an impact in the movie. It's like she's one of those actresses who it doesn't matter how small the role is, she's gonna make
Mhm.
some sort of impact in that
Yeah.
film, and she does it here.
Yeah, she's like another veteran where, working with her, I was like, man, she's really good. And like that's so nice to like sit in a scene with your scene partner especially and to sit there and be like they're really good and not be like god like this is going to be like pulling teeth a little bit like which is it happens sometimes unfortunately, but she was like beyond a pleasure to work with, just like so easy, so relaxed, so talented, and like just she makes these great choices like you said that they just stick and people are like yep, that was Lynn.
Yep, and I love the scene where my favorite part is after the sheriff tells her, you know, she tells him that she's already out there somewhere, but then you come back to her, and I loved your line where you said, "You could just let me get my guns and end it all," and she's like, "Well, you better just thank me." Like pretty much, she just
Yeah,
blew.
she's like, sit down.
Yeah, exactly. It was like she was disciplining you like right there, as if you were the daughter at that one point. You're like, why didn't you just let me get them? Like, you be quiet. Like,
Yeah, that's one of those connections like that every time I see her, it's like we really connected on that film set. And I feel like so honored for that because like, I've gotten to see her older stuff too and her newer stuff and just like she's had such an awesome career. So it's like it's so cool like connecting with her and talking to her and learning from her.
yeah, and at the same time, like you didn't. I mean, you didn't feel intimidated at all. Like, it didn't look like it at all. And like sometimes when these young actors work with these veterans, they get a little bit timid, and because like, oh my
Yeah.
God. But it
Well,
it just
yeah,
seems so
I
natural here.
think of course like there's the respect of saying like you've done this more and like you're a veteran right now, so like there is the respect, so it's like I do check the ego in that sense where it's like I know who you are, but it would be like the way I look at it is it would be a disservice to them to be intimidated by them because the greatest thing I could do for them is try to match them as an actor in that scene to show them that I respect the craft and I respect what they're doing and what they're doing is effective. So that's kind of how I've always dealt with it. I try to separate from the whole like, oh, they're so experienced. And I just say like, all right, we're just here. We're two people and we're doing a scene together. And I try to match them, and I try to like do as much of a service in that scene as I can.
Yeah, I hear that, and it worked. I mean, and basically, and I gotta say this: the ending obviously is open ended, and quite frankly, I told Greg this. I want to see a sequel to this. I gotta see a follow up because
I know.
just the way it ended. So if that were to happen, I hands down, I would love to see you return and just do what you do best in this one, and like you did in this one, just totally get the knives out. And I said you need more knife fights in the next one. That's all I said. That's like I may be exhausted, but you need more knife fights.
Yeah, I think that's the cool thing too, is that we did explore so many different textures of assault. Like,
Yeah,
we had the hand to hand, we had the guns, we had so many different guns, and then we had, bow and arrows, axes, knives, like whatever, all the crazy stuff. The ghillie suit was crazy. And I think like that definitely in the sequel could be explored a lot more. We can get this, a lot of this stuff, they're throwbacks and they're homages.
yeah. One of my
So
favorite genres, the 70s and 80s B movie. I mean,
yep.
I used to go to the Bronx all the time and rent these B action flicks almost every weekend growing up. And I grew up with this genre. That's why I had such a love for this film, because it just reminded me, it brought back that nostalgic feeling of what
Yeah.
I grew up watching.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a lot of fun. I think, it is kind of bringing it back a little bit, which is like really, really cool. And I think that's what's so important in the homaging, is that we just remember like where we came from, that like we're here now, but we came from this, and that's what started it. And I think that's so cool because it's inclusive for the audience. So you have everyone that grew up watching, those movies, and then people that are now just, discovering the genre now.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like the new generation is now getting into this, and I'm really glad about this.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that when it comes out in December, people will get to see this, and not just see it for its homage to B movies, but the return of the female action hero. I feel it's a very important. You know, like we for a while had we had the 80s muscle bound action heroes, then we had the female action heroes with the kickboxers, then now Marvel and DC, you got your superheroes, but I'm glad to see that we're getting the female action hero back. And
Yeah,
one of those
it's
films.
really, really awesome because I mean I definitely I'm a 90s baby. I definitely saw some good female action.
Yeah,
And I have noticed it's like they try to do this thing where everyone's an action hero,
yeah,
and like it doesn't always sell.
no, it doesn't.
So like, that is like the hope, is that we can kind of get it back to like it was fully up for a while.
Yeah,
So that's definitely the hope.
and I now with especially with the indie circuit again, the indie film rising, I think we're gonna get more of that.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that you get to be one of these with this movie, because like I said, you just pulled off a stellar performance, and
Thank
you
you.
just totally kicked butt.
Thank you.
So on that note, what's next for you after Guns of Eden? Is there any new projects that on the horizon that you can talk about?
Yeah, I have a new one coming out right now. It's called Bound. It's actually a really different kind of movie. Really different kind of movie. It's a social drama domestic thriller. So it's currently in post-production. We finished shooting that just a while ago. So that one should be coming out soon. So that's kind of like the new one. And then like a few others that are like, we're in talks right now, so we can't, nothing like to share at the moment, but some other ones on the horizon for sure.
And then hopefully, fingers crossed, on the Guns of Eden sequel.
Yeah,
I'm crossing my fingers for it.
all the cast and crew is already ready for it. So
Oh
like,
yeah, I know Greg and Chris are. 'Cause I talked to them last week, and he's like they're ready for
yeah,
the sequel. They're ready. They want to get it done, and I'm
yeah,
hoping
I
it
know.
does. I'm hoping and if a Kickstarter comes around again, I'm gonna be doing it again like I did with. I'm looking
Thank you.
forward to that.
I
So Guns of
appreciate it.
Eden will be out in December, and I hope everyone gets to see Alexandra do what she does best. And I think she's going to be one of the new female action heroes with this film. And Alexandra, thank you so much again for taking the time to talk about the movie.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, bye.